Good morning, everyone. Alex Smith here. Thank you for joining. I think we're going to start the webinar now. Hopefully everyone's joined that will. If not, hopefully they won't miss too much. But once again, thank you for joining. My name's Alex Smith. I'm Head of Business Development here at Purdicom. And just to add confusion, we've got another Alex on the call, which is Mr. Claro, and he's our Director of Technical. So I'll quickly run through some of the sales elements, and then I'll hand over to Mr. Claro, and he will cover off the actual demo itself and a couple of the technical slides. So Mr. Claro, if you can do the next slide for me. Thank you. So yeah, quick agenda for today. So we'll quickly just go over an introduction as to who Purdicom are. I know some of you will be aware of who we are and what we do, but it's always good just to recap in case there's some new products that you're not aware of. And equally for those people that are perhaps newer to Purdicom, just give you a very quick overview of some of the stuff that we do and the services and the products that we supply. I won't spend a huge amount of time on this because that's not the purpose of today. So any questions on that, feel free to get in touch with us after, and we'll go through the other products in more detail. After that, we're going to some of the current challenges that we see within the networks. And then an introduction into the RUCKUS Analytics, why you perhaps need RUCKUS Analytics. We'll then do the demo, and then we'll just recap with some case studies and additional information and go through the promotions and free trials that are available. And then finally, we'll do the Q&A. But if you've got questions whilst we're going through this, please type them into the chat, and we'll come back to those at the end. But they will get answered, so please just type them in as we go, and we'll come back to them. So who are Purdicom? Who are we? What do we do? So we are obviously a distributor, and we predominantly specialise in wireless networking and security products. We're headquartered out of Oxfordshire, and our goal is ultimately just to provide as much value as we can to partners such as yourselves in order to, hopefully all of us to sell more and do more business. Mr. Clyde, next slide. So yeah, as I kind of said, we are a distributor. We do not and will not sell direct on any of the products that we provide, and we sell to a wide range of different sort of partners, really. So whether that's resellers, value-added resellers, managed service providers, WISPs, integrators. We even do some level of sub-distribution as well, and obviously those partners sort of supply into multiple industries and multiple verticals that hopefully you can see on the screen. And they range from sort of healthcare, MDU, which we would call multi-dwelling units, transport, warehousing, hospitality, education, etc., etc. So we have a wide range of ability and services that we provide within those sectors. So whatever your customer requirements or whoever your customer may be, hopefully we've got the skill sets to be able to help you within those markets. Mr. Clary, next slide, please. Fantastic. And skip again. Thank you. So yeah, some of the technologies that we do, I'm sure, like I said, most of you will be aware, but we come from a wireless background, and actually I'm going to take that a step back, sorry. So we actually have 3 sales departments within Purdicom. You may be aware of this, you may not. So first of all, we have our sort of wireless or Wi-Fi team, and those guys will predominantly specialise in, as the name would suggest, our Wi-Fi products and the complementary products around that. We then have our wireless team or connectivity team, sorry, and they will specialise within our point-to-point and multi-point products. Can't get my words out this morning. And also there's some complementary products within that. And yes, there is a bit of crossover between some of those products as well. And then finally, we have our security team. And as the name would suggest, again, they specialise in more of our security portfolio. And as you can see on the screen, those products are obviously the Wi-Fi, the point-to-multipoint, and point-to-point. We then also have some cabling products as well, UPS, so backup power supplies, some voice, analytics and control. That's a bit of a broad subject, so there's actually multiple products within that, depending on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. Obviously, we then have switching and network infrastructure, and once again, we have a couple of vendors that sort of specialise within that, depending on the price point and what you're trying to do. And once again, security products, and that's quite broad again, but depending on sort of whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's antivirus, that kind of thing, then we have a couple of options again for you to choose from to see what's best for you and what's best for your customer. Mr. Clary, next slide, please. Oh, just go back a one, thank you. So yeah, and this is kind of just repeating on what I've said. So these are some of the products or some of the vendors that we supply that provide those products. One on there that we didn't kind of, or I didn't cover whilst we're going through that, was perhaps Google. That isn't the Google G Suite product. That's more just Chromecast, which fit quite well into our sort of MDU and hospitality customers for their casting requirements and things like that. So once again, if you ever have a requirement for casting, please let us know. And obviously we can provide those Chromecasts as well. Mr. Clary, next slide, please. And skip again if you can. Thank you. So yeah, some of the value-added services that we provide, and we do a range of things here, as you can probably tell. So obviously we do the obvious things such as post-technical support. So Mr. Claro has a help desk that will answer any questions that you may have around issues that you're seeing on the network. The guys are completely trained within all of the products that we sell. So whatever it may be, we can assist you with that. Equally, they can help on the pre-sale side of things as well, whether that be network design, general queries and consulting. We can do all of that as well. From a logistics perspective, we can ship pretty much anywhere worldwide, and obviously the UK as well. And I will put a kind of caveat around this, but we do usually stock most of the products. Global shortages aside, that's making that difficult, but we will often and when possible stock multiple millions of pounds worth of each of our vendors. From a finance perspective, we do flexible credit lines. We can help with payment plans. We will look at extended credit terms, ultimately anything that you need. And once again, we can also offer some OPEX as well. If you want to look at monthly billing, things like that, then we're more than happy to investigate that and work with you on those as well. From a sales side, you'll have a dedicated account manager, if not multiple account managers, depending on the product or products that you're using from us. And although some people can find that quite confusing, actually, we find it's best. Apparently we might be having some audio issues here. Alex, Mr. Clary, can you still hear me?
Yep, still loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to check the chat quickly, see if anyone else is having those issues. No, I can't see anything. Apologies, I don't know, for the person that sent that message in, apologies, I don't know what's going on there, but we seem to be okay this side. So yeah, from a sales perspective, we do have dedicated account managers, and actually you might have more than one, depending on the products that you're buying from us. And that's not to make things confusing or complicated. It's just so you've got someone knowledgeable within that product set to give you the best service possible. So hopefully that kind of, you'll see that. You may deal with me on one product, but you may deal with someone else, but they will have a much greater understanding of their portfolio than I do, and therefore will be able to offer you a better service because of that. Equally, on the marketing side, we do all of our marketing internally, and we're more than happy to share that skill set with you. So if you want some help with, I don't know, email templates and things like that, the sound does drop out on occasion, someone else has put in there as well. We will keep an eye on that, Alex. If you see that your side, please let me know, and it might be that I need to do something more.
Sure, no worries.
But apologies to everyone for the audio issues. We will try and sort that out. So from the marketing side, so yeah, we do all that internally, and we're more than happy to share that skill set with you. So like I said, whether that's for the email templates, if you're trying to do a campaign around the product, more than happy to assist there. Equally, if it's your website creation and things like that, we can provide some level of assistance on that as well. And our vendors will often provide their own sort of marketing help, whether that's from their skill sets or whether that's actually through MDF, which is Marketing Development Funds. And ultimately, what that means is, if you're running a campaign and it has a cost associated to it, then we will help finance that to some extent as well. And that's normally about 50-50. We're putting half, you guys fund the other half. And that can be used for anything, whether it's pens and pads, whether it's buying data for calling out and trying to generate new business, whether it's for putting on shows or anything else. If it's got a cost associated to it, whether that be a time cost or an actual tangible cost, then once again, we can assist with that. Most things are covered. I've yet to see really any refusals, but obviously, once again, get in touch with us if you want to run some form of campaign, and we can tell you whether it's applicable or not. But 99% of the time, it's reasonable. Then yes, that is supported. Mr. Clary, next slide, please. And this just goes on to a step further around to what we're saying about the professional services and the support that Mr. Clary's team can provide. So, we can do anything, whether it's on-site or off-site, remote work, etc. And that can be a wide range of things. So we do sort of heat maps or virtual surveys, desktop surveys, whatever you prefer to call them, and that is free of charge. Equally, we can do a similar thing for our point-to-point products. We've got a clever piece of software that will spit out the sort of kit that we think you'll need and the speeds and feeds that you should expect to see. Obviously, nothing beats an on-site survey. These are just budgetary figures, so and therefore indicative costs from the quote off the back of that. So please always follow up with on-site surveys where you can. We can also do pre-staging, so the kit comes to site already pre-configured, and it's hopefully just a case of you guys then plugging it in. We can do asset registering and access point labeling or switch labeling or any of the other products. We can asset tag that for you and put that into a nice little register. We also offer accredited training on, I think Mr. Clary may correct me here, but I think on all of our products. Certainly, if not, it will be for the majority of those products. So we are train the trainer accredited, and therefore can deliver those courses to you. And obviously, look, we offer not for resale kit, and we have our own pool of demo kit as well that is available to you for proof of concepts, testing internally, whatever it may be. But once again, there's not a lot that we won't do from a technical standpoint. So if you need any assistance with anything technical, please get in touch with us and we will do our best to assist. Mr. Clary, next slide, please. And again, please. Thank you. So what are the customer challenges that we're seeing? And I think the majority of the time, in fact, actually, once again, I'm going to take that step back. Who is the customer? I think that now changes somewhat, especially in this day and age. And I think the customer now can be looked at two ways. It can be obviously the end customer, but I also think the customer could also be yourselves, especially if you're offering a managed service or if you're offering a support package around that. And the challenges we see, or the technical challenges we see, regardless of that, is typically the lack of insight and the lack of visibility as to what is going on that network. And what I mean by that is, how many devices are connecting? Where are they connecting? What applications are they trying to use? What does the bandwidth and the throughput look like on the network as a whole? Is that becoming, is that reaching capacity? Or is the customer using more cloud-based applications, and what is their speeds and feeds of the internet? Actually, they could be seeing bandwidth issues and things like that, but it's how do you see that? And often that's quite challenging without looking at multiple screens or scrolling through lots of different elements of data and trying to collaborate that and put that together. And because of that, I think help desks are now becoming inundated, whether that's the customer's help desk on site or whether that's for you guys providing those services and those support packages. Without that level of visibility, it does become a hindrance and does become difficult. And I think that then obviously sort of over allocates the time that you guys have available. And then Mr. Clary, if you can just quickly skip to the next slide as well. This kind of follows on from that. And I think a lot of the time, as this slide, the first point says, everything seems to be always reactive. And there isn't, and I think because of that, you might have an issue on the network and it might be a port on a switch. It could be the switch itself. It could be the access point. It could be a bandwidth issue affecting the whole network. But without being proactive and seeing those issues, that one issue might affect 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever it may be. And you'll get multiple calls or multiple tickets raised for that one problem. But if you could be proactive in resolving that issue, that hour it may take you, or 10 minutes to fix that one issue proactively, will effectively save you multiple hours dealing with multiple support cases from various people that ultimately come back to one problem. The other issue is, there's almost too much data or too little of data. You're having to stroll through multiple systems, collaborate that data, and it's hard to see the wood through the trees at that point. So having a way to cut through all of that to get to the issue itself will obviously be more effective for you and for the end user experience at the end of it as well. And once again, it's difficult to produce relevant reports for relevant people. And that could be things from providing service assurances to your customer. We said we would deliver you this. We said we would provide this level of throughput or whatever it may be. And actually, here's a report to show you that. Or actually, it could also be used as a sales tool. Look, when we installed the network 5 years ago, we built a network based on 20 people, for argument's sake. Well, look, actually, over the last 3-5 years, whatever it may be, that's now up to 200 people, 2,000 people. And actually, we can see that your back-end infrastructure is now starting to creak, or if this trend continues over the next 6 months, 12 months, you will reach a problem point, and we need to look at upgrading that infrastructure, whether it be the wireless, the wired, the internet connection, or it could even be that, if you're providing a firewall service, actually that caps out at 10,000 users, 1,000 users, and you need to start replacing that infrastructure as well. Mr. Claro, next slide, please. Here's some stats, and actually, as you probably see, this is back in 2019, so I would argue that potentially these stats are now worse because of the uptake of network usage. 42% of network professionals or IT managers spend too much time troubleshooting. 38% of those, which probably ties into this 42% of taking up too much time, can't proactively identify these issues themselves. And actually, number one issue apparently is wireless. And I think that number is probably quite skewed. I think we've probably all seen this. Something doesn't work and it's the wireless's fault. But once again, without being able to identify these issues, easily troubleshoot, easily have visibility of where the problem may lie, it's always the wireless's fault. It might not be. It might be that, oh, my internet is slow, therefore it's the wireless that's slow. No, it's not. Actually, you've still got a 10 meg internet connection and you've got 1,000 people trying to access all these cloud applications. It's not the wireless that's at fault, it's your internet. But it's being able to see that and be able to provide that back to the customer in order to show them that. And I think, actually, next slide, Alex, but I think that's me done for the moment. And like I said, I want to run through those kind of points quite quickly and what we do quite quickly, just because I think, we're here to show you the actual product itself. But hopefully that gives you a quick insight into who we are, the issues that are out there in the network, and hopefully they resonate with you. But I'll hand over to Mr. Claro here, running to the next slides, give you the demo. But like I said, please use the Q&A and we'll answer any questions that you may have. Mr. Claro, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. So this is an intro to RUCKUS Analytics. So there is going to be a demo, so don't worry, I'm not going to do death by PowerPoint. So let's just begin with, what is analytics? So RUCKUS Analytics is from Chromescope. It's a cloud-based service, so you can actually build your own dashboards, look at the analytics from either your Smart Zone family or your RUCKUS Cloud family. With RUCKUS Cloud, it's actually built in, and you will get a free trial when you sign up to RUCKUS Cloud natively. There is also a free trial available for the Smart Zone product. You just need to sign up for it. So what makes analytics great is that it's not just built for the access points, it's built for the wired network as well. Maybe there's a client that is using too much bandwidth, or all the bandwidth too much of the time. Maybe you've got clients that are reporting poor performance, but nothing on the network has changed. In using RUCKUS Analytics, you can actually monitor the RF performance over time. So you can look at airtime utilization, channel utilization, and actually view that historical data to work out what's changed and what you maybe need to do to mitigate that, as well as it giving you some suggestions on what you could do. Maybe it's as simple as the fact of the customer's due an upgrade and the customer's saying, well, why do I need to upgrade? So you can actually demonstrate using the historical reporting and say, well, actually, a year ago, you were using the service this way and you were having this much data through your wireless network. Now, Mr. Customer, you're actually doing double that, triple that, maybe even 10 times that amount of data through your network. And actually, that's maybe why you need to increase your backplane switching throughput, as an example. Or maybe you should actually be looking at another technology to complement your existing RUCKUS solution to actually bolster what you're offering your end users and your customers. So RUCKUS doesn't also help you plan for the now, but also helps you plan for the future as well. And that's the key thing about analytics. It's proactive and it's helping you plan for the future. So why was it built? Well, we've got incident-based analytics. So we've got machine learning. We can actually find the root cause and an analysis and a remediation plan as well. It's all AI-driven. We can monitor the health and create SLA categories and thresholds for the system as well. We've got client troubleshooting. So just like you have in Smart Zone and RUCKUS Cloud, you can also do that through RUCKUS Analytics and view more than your 30 or 60 days that are available. Or if you're on Smart Zone, 1 day to 14 days. You also have the Data Explorer, so you can actually view visualization for over 12 months of data, as well as curating reports for 12 months of historical data as well. So you then also have service validation. So you might say, well, actually, how do I know it's doing what it's supposed to do? Well, RUCKUS have got a validation service whereby the actual application or the access point will act as a virtual client, and it will try and connect to the access point. It will connect to another access point. So you can actually say, well, actually, my execution, I had this time delay, I had this ping response, I had this much average throughput of upload and download. So actually, it can then score you and say, actually, this is healthy, or maybe it's not so healthy. It's also got a Melissa AI-powered virtual assistant, so you can ask her things such as, how is my network doing? And she'll tell you how your network is doing. You can also ask her, what was the busiest network last month, or yesterday, or whenever, and she'll then come and tell you. It also integrates using webhooks with leading ITSM platforms, such as ServiceNow and Salesforce, and anything else that can use a webhook, which means it can automatically create service desk tickets based on severity that you set. You can also designate third parties for management, allowing you to have a two-tiered management platform. So your end user could actually log into their own RUCKUS Analytics platform and see how their own network's doing. Better yet, you can actually create reports to them and schedule those reports to be sent, once a month, once a quarter, whenever your catch-up is with that end user as an MSP, if you are looking at the MSP route, so that they can actually see you are giving some value and actually showing them exactly what's gone on their network and how you've maybe fixed it, or what you've done to prevent it going forward, to show what a good, service provider you are, and that you are actually looking at their incidents before they become incidents. So how does it change? So the old way was, manual troubleshooting, manually having to investigate the root cause analysis, schedule the uptime of SLAs, and work out how much you're going to have to give a customer. The help desk becoming overwhelmed, and you had very little visibility of information. So you can spend hours, weeks, or even months at times manually troubleshooting to no avail, and can sometimes be the smallest of things that maybe has been thought about. Similarly, the time spent investigating potential root causes of what actually happened to fill out your action plan of what happened and give that to the customer also consumes a lot of time. Now, this is what RUCKUS Analytics can do. It can automate that for you and actually tell you, well, actually, this went wrong at this period of time, so here's what you should be looking to identify. Our objective is to make this as easy as possible for customers, ultimately. That is the end goal, to make your life easy and your end user's life easy. So what are the key differentiators? We can demonstrate superior in terms of speed of incident detection, conciseness, and accuracy of information. We don't need any special access points. We're just using the same access points you've bought, whether that was an R510 or R550, whether it's Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, we can still use those same access points to actually define the information we need. We're also the first ones to actually do a quality of experience analysis. In effect, we'll do a Zoom call. And in that Zoom call, RUCKUS Analytics will analyze the data and say, actually, you've got interference, or you're not sending the right amount of data, you've got too much jitter, your quality of service is poor. It will analyze that entire network for you, that entire call, sorry, and then tell you what you need to do next. You can de-risk the network and minimize outages and downtime via configuration change analysis. So maybe you made a change last week, which actually impacted the RF. Well, now you can view it a week later and go, actually, was that positive or negative? Did I actually solve the issue, or have I maybe made it worse because there's something else that I need to investigate? But you've got that data to look at. And at no extra cost, you get 12 months of data, granular reports, and custom dashboards. So now I've spoken to you about what it can do, let's have a demo. So hopefully I haven't timed out. I'm still here. So this is RUCKUS Analytics. This is the dashboard. So at the moment, it's only been looking at the one network that it's told to look at. But if you imagine you're an MSP for multiple networks, you can have all of those networks categorized in one dashboard, and you can actually change what it looks. So I can troubleshoot anything from the dashboard here. Now, I've got a network view, so I've got my cloud controller here, and I've then got my switches here. But actually, maybe I want to look at the topology. So from the topology, I can start looking at the garage switch. I can start looking at the garage APs. I've got my entire topology built for me. And this is a live network as well. So as I hover over some of the information, it will tell me that it's an access point or router. It's got the MAC address, it's got the name, it's got the version of code it's running as well as the same for the switches element. So I got the MAC address for the switch, I've got the venue, I've got the name of it. And this is a live network. This is actually our managing director's house that we're viewing right now. And on the left-hand side, and I'll zoom in a bit just in case it's a little small, we have the SLA. So we've got the connection success, we've got the time to connect, we've got client throughput, AP capacity. We've then got our connection uptime. So did we meet our goal? How many APs have we got online? Also, we've got the did you know, 59% of all traffic went through 15% of APs, and the average session duration was actually 12 hours. Now, if I ask Melissa and I go, how's my network today? She will tell me. Oh, does have if I can spell, but she is clever enough to work out that I'm terrible at spelling. And it'll actually tell me about the amount of APs that are online, the amount of WLANs that I've got created, how many unique clients I have, along with how much data I've actually presented. So that's all well and good. That's a nice dashboard. So if I actually start looking at the AI analytics element, and I actually change the date range, and I'm going to go back to, I don't know, December 15th, all the way to today's date as much as I can. I'm going to hit apply. So in real time, it's automatically just recalculate that information for me. There was no delay. It's there ready for me to view. So I can see that actually there's been a few incidences. So, I've got a P3, I've got a P4 instance. So let's look at a P3. So this was a device that's got EAP failures that are too high. So the device hasn't been able to connect to the wireless properly. And it's got a root cause. Users are failing to successfully connect to the authentication stage. This connection failure is comprised of multiple failure types and reasons, making it difficult to pin down the root cause. But the key thing, it's told you that it's happening at the authentication stage. So that could be interference, could be poor signal. You've now got an idea of where to begin your troubleshooting. So if I then actually view the details of this, so I can view the incident details. So right now, it's going to give me the recommended action. So has there been any credential changes? Have any passwords expired if you're using DPSK? Has there been any infrastructure or certificate changes? Has there been a new device type that's been introduced or any firmware updates that may have caused a device to go down? So the key one that it's telling me is actually there's been a Psk failure. So someone's typed in the password incorrectly, and that's actually what's attributed to this failure being presented. And you can see here over the period of time, you've got the amount of clients who are affected. Now, I actually know this has happened because I changed the password and I mistyped the password that I was told to set it to. So that's a failure of my part, but the actual system told me that all of a sudden no one can connect because the wrong password is being entered. Now, we also have the impacts. We've got the client manufacturers. So we can see where it was an Apple device that's predominantly affected. And we've got the radio bands on which it was affected predominantly as well. Now, I could go further and I can go, well, actually, let's view the details of this. Let's break that down further. So I've got client details and I've got client troubleshooting. So if I go into client troubleshooting, pardon me, it's going to load and it's going to tell me the health summary, the connection events. And bear in mind, this is over a long period of time. So I've got the amount of connection failures, Psk failure, someone couldn't type the password incorrectly because I typed it in wrong. And you've got the network instances as well. So it's telling you that it's client connection, not performance, not infrastructure, client connection. It's identified exactly what the problem is. Now, if I go to report analysis, so at the moment, there is no information about that device. It wasn't online long enough. But, we can try looking for different days and see if there's any more, which in this instance, there isn't. But if I go back to analytics, I can actually start looking at the health status. And again, I'll set this back to December 15th, all the way to today's date, just to get as much data as possible. Ooh. Actually, that'll do. Oh, I can't type. There you go, apply that. So what I can now see is I'm using the data from December to the 31st of December, and I've got client connection attempts. There was 35,000 attempts, 30,000 successful attempts, and out of those, we had 4,000 failed connections, with the average time to connect being 94 milliseconds. And I can expand this down, and I can say, well, actually, DHCP took quite a long time. So maybe there's something that we need to look at on the network of that house or that environment. I know it's a DHCP router that's actually hosted by a Draytech device. So I know exactly what that is, and I can work out why. But then I've got authentication that's taking a long time to connect as well. Well, actually, maybe I need to start fine-tuning the RF a little bit. I can then go to connection success ratio, and actually most of it is EAP failures, so incorrect passwords. There is a device at that point in time that had the incorrect device on there. And again, failed connections, I'll actually do a count of new clients versus connected and where the issue was laying over time. And again, I've got my SLA threshold, which I can customize as well. So you can meet this to your expectations of your customers and fine tune how the SLA looks. But that can also be looking at connection elements. It could be looking at performance elements, or it could literally just be looking at infrastructure. And again, these are all fine tuned down here, and we can set this to whatever we would like it to be. Client troubleshooting, if I typed in a MAC address, it would actually begin looking for a client to actually start troubleshooting. And it would give me all the information, which I'll show in a different way in a moment. But maybe you're hosting a large event, or your customer's hosting a large event, and they actually want some footfall analytics. Now, location services, they can be quite expensive, and they can be quite challenging to set up. With Ruckus, just have to hit create site, give it the name description, select the access points, and it's going to tell you the utilization rate of that network over a period of time, the total visitors that you saw, as well as the average dwell time. Now, if you had multiple sites, you could view this by utilization, average dwell time, in-site visitors. But I can then actually go to the listings and view the report. So I can now actually say, well, okay, it was down 16% compared to previous months, and it's now gone to March. I've got the total site visitors, which is again down 3%, but my average dwell time is up. And I can then start looking at the utilization rate over a period of time. And you can see how it's segmented in hourly blocks. And I can actually change that to people instead. So I can then get the visitor count. And I then get my utilization rate to actually analyze, as well as my dwell time per visitor and my visitor info, along with their MAC address, the average dwell time. And again, I'll try this again on one of them. I'll try it on the iRobot, see what that comes up with client troubleshooting. So here you go, the robotic vacuum cleaner. We can see the connection quality, and we can analyze that. And actually, it's the average downlink that is the issue. Everything else is perfect. So that might mean that there's not enough bandwidth for that device. So if we then go on a step further, and by the way, we can then go with occupancy. This can all be emailed to you as well. I've seen a few questions come through, so I'll go through those at the very end of the demo as well. This can actually be emailed to you, so you can have an email notification as well. It's not enabled currently. If I was to edit this and add in a notification, select my APs, I can have an email notification, and I can say, well, actually, when the site is at a certain capacity, email me, let me know. Now, that can be quite handy, because maybe there is a limit on how many people you can have in the building at any one time because of the COVID restrictions, or what were COVID restrictions, but maybe your site has a capacity limit. You can use this to send an automatic email to someone to go, actually, site's getting near capacity. We need to do something. We need to stop the amount of people coming in, whatever. But you now have that information at your disposal to actually work out how successful an event would be or has been. So then we have service validation. So I ran this the other day, and we've got a test report. And basically, this was actually just doing a random test to google.co.uk and bbc.co.uk. So we can see that there was an error on the APs. So the speed test failed element of that, but we can actually see all the other parts of it passed. So it wasn't able to do a speed test. Now we can rerun the test. You can view the details about it. So you can see that actually family details, near family bathroom, sorry, actually has an error. So that's something that I now need to investigate. There's an error. I need to look at that as well. And you can see from the overview, it's just using a pre-shared key on the Copt Heath network using 5 gigahertz band. And you can customize this test again. So you can create a new test. You can have it on demand, run it weekly, run it monthly. Again, so you can give your customer that report that actually shows, you are testing their network weekly, monthly, whenever you would like to. You can actually give them that report and say, look, there's an issue, but we've actually done this to fix it. Now, the other one that I can't do live right now, as it will drop me off the call, is effectively, you can do a Zoom call. So when you create a test call, you give it a name. So let's call it test, for example. And then you would join the Zoom meeting, stay on the call for 5 to 7 minutes. You would share video and audio. And then it's going to determine that connection over the Ruckus AP. And it's going to tell you the quality of it. Again, if you're doing a validation exercise, so you've deployed the network, you want to make sure it's working the best it can be, use analytics, do a test call and let it tell you exactly what you may need to do to improve that, or what it's seeing for you to then analyze and make changes as a result. We then have lots and lots of reporting. So we can view our uptime status, network usage, total AP count. So how many devices by client count, sorry. So which room's the busiest, total wireless traffic, unique wireless sessions on the WLANs as well. For this period of time, for that week, if I actually just go, let's go February to here and click apply, it's going to re-render that for me. And it's going to tell me some more information about which APs were busiest, which AP, so this time it's actually the family bathroom that had the top client count. It's then going to render the rest of the data for me. We sent 32 gigabytes of data, received 32 gigabits, but we sent nearly 760 gigabits of data, unique sessions, which radios were heavily utilized. Again, this is quite handy now more than ever to know which radios are being utilized the most. So you can maybe encourage more people to use the 5 gigahertz band and use the faster, cleaner band that it offers. The amount of applications that have been run on the network, what was the session duration, as well as what SSIDs were used the most. You can then drill down further into the actual wireless network itself and start looking at client count, traffic distribution layers, AP by count, and you can obviously render this in different ways and actually export the data. It can be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Again, top APs by client count as well. I was going to change this to 24 hours, just to speed up a little bit. You've got the traffic trend analysis as well. So you can actually, again, see, here's what my network was doing yesterday. What's it doing today? Better yet, what was it doing a year ago? What's it doing today? Is my underlying core infrastructure needing an upgrade? Do I need to start looking at ICX? Do I need to start looking at 10 gig backhaul? Maybe start looking at link aggregation, actually having 20 gig backhaul. Do I need to upgrade my core infrastructure to cope with the demand that my client is seeing? And I can now actually have a very valid business case to go to my customer and say, here's what we're seeing. Here's what we suggest you do. But here's the facts. Here's the reason. Like this, I'm not lying to you. Here's the genuine truth about what you need to do next based on the data that we can see. And that'll also be by radio, by average traffic usage as well. And you can also see the different traffic periods. Wired network, again, if they are using ICX switches, great. We can actually look at how much data each switch is providing, how much PoE utilization you're using, and you can select different switches to identify that and render it down to look at an exact switch, look at the memory, look at the frequency it's running at, the neighbor list, what's it actually connected to? What's the uptime status? This is all available from RUCKUS Analytics. And again, we can do similar things with the APs as well and look at when they've been offline, the client connectivity trend, et cetera, et cetera. But that's all well and good. But you might say, well, actually, I'm not too sure how to create a dashboard. Well, don't worry. Let's do it for you. So if I was to import all, these are pre-built dashboards based on IT operations, hospitality, or education. So I've just imported all the IT operations ones. It's going to spin around and give me a chance. Let's look at the gallery again. Maybe I want to have a education one. I have education as well. And these are predefined dashboards for you to utilize. And I can just pick and choose which one I want to view. I'm just going to import them all just live so I can show you the different ones each one has. You can see it's very quick, very snappy to actually do this. So now it's gone and imported them all. Let's have wireless performance troubleshooting trends. So it's going to render the data. So the RF coverage was this differentiator between 2.4 and 5 gig. What was the channel distribution like? So it's now going to tell me the different traffic analyzation, as well as airtime utilization. Was it busy? Was it good? So actually, this is quite good. And most of the time, we're idle, which is perfect. What was the 2.45 gigahertz or maybe 6 gigahertz distribution? So there are no 6 gigahertz APs at this venue, but you can see the distribution. And I can have different filters, different AP groups, different radios I would like to look at. But the idea is that there's something for everyone. There's lots of different reports you can go through, and they're all customized depending on what you would like to do. I mean, we can even go to, let's play it dangerously. Let's look at student bandwidth. It's then going to render the student bandwidth for me, and it's going to be a draft. So actually, we were at 76% throughput. And again, I'll do another quick one. Let's have a look at the asset life cycle. So it's going to tell me that the end of life APs. So there are some R700s. and it's going to tell me which ones are obsolete. There are no running obsolete code. There's no end-of-life APs, and there's no upcoming end-of-sale products. You can then say to a customer, by the way, these APs are going to go end-of-life. Or actually, look, nothing's end-of-life yet. You don't worry. You've still got some time. But it's a nice, easy way to give that to customers and analyze the data. And if you want to, feel free. There is an entire data explorer where you can actually build your own custom dashboards using all the API calls, and you don't have to know any coding. You just pick and choose what you'd like to see. So AP inventory, I can pull up the AP group, for example, and show that versus the AP model, R610 as an example, versus, I don't know, the POE mode, and show that. So it's now going to start running all the data as I pull it out into there for me to see. And I can build dashboards, I can build tables, I can have it as a grid format, a heat map. I do need some more dimensions to do it, but you can build it to your heart's content or use the ones that are built into the dashboard system. So that's the demo section over with. So we're going to go on to the partner and end user quotes. So one question has been, do you look at Vlan interconnectivity on troubleshooting? So it's not going to tell me there's an issue between the Vlan connectivity, but what RUCKUS Analytics can do is say, well, actually, there's no DHCP. I'm failing at the DHCP layer. So at layer 2, I've got an issue and I need to investigate that further. Because it's not going to start looking at the individual packet data of, can this client talk to this client over here? It's going to look at purely layer 2 and see what's happening at the layer 2 environment. So hopefully, Simon, that answers that question for you. So at a high level overview, you've asked the question again, can you summarize what's bad at a high level? You can indeed. So you've got the different severities on your main dashboard. And if there's anything highlighted, it will show you them within the last 24 hours or 7 days. Annoyingly, the venue we're using is actually working okay. So there's no instance to show, but they would be seeing here along with connection performance infrastructure if there are any issues at that point in time. So if there's any more questions, please do fire away in the chat. We'll come back to them at the very end. What are our customers saying about RUCKUS Analytics? So, we've got multiple customers all over the world who have used it, implemented it, and, they found that it's actually benefited and complemented their solution. Not only is it helping them save time on the help desk, it's actually showing their customers that they care. And it's doing something that most other partners don't do, which is actually give an insight to how is the Wi-Fi working. Most people don't understand Wi-Fi ultimately from an end user perspective. So to show the end user, here was an issue, here's how I fixed it, that's going the extra mile. You're showing the value that you can bring and how you can actually rectify it if there was any issues. And these are all available as well. And this will be presented again in a follow-up email with the entire slide deck and a video recording. So handing back to Mr. Smith, he's going to go through pricing, resources, and trials. So hopefully he's still awake and I've not put him to sleep.
I'm still here, Mr. Clara. Thank you very much. Perfect. So yeah, if you just do the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. So yeah, as Mr. Clara said, look, there is now obviously pricing available for this. So please get in touch with your account manager. If you don't currently have an account manager, please email us at ruckus@purdy.com. So that's RUCKUS for Ruckus at Purdy, PURDI for indigo.com. And that will come through, we'll get your query and we'll obviously come back to you with any further information. But ultimately, there's several options available. You can buy the licenses as they are, just as the analytics, or if this is kind of for a new install, so new customer where you need the access points, the relevant controller licenses or cloud licenses, along with the APs, then there are bundle SKUs available. And they will obviously work out slightly cheaper by buying them as a bundle rather than buying those components separately. Oh, and it also includes the support as part of that as well. Apologies, I missed that off. But yeah, so please get in touch with your account manager or just, like I said, on ruckus@purdy.com if you want pricing. And we'll come back to you on that. And then Mr. Clive, if you can just go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, next slide. That's kind of just a breakdown, but that won't make a lot of sense. It's more confusing than it's worth explaining. And then the resources, there's loads available online. You can see there's a link at the top there as well, which will take you to these resources. And you can also get all the relevant data sheets. There's other demos available. There's a free trial link there as well. So as I think Alex mentioned it at the beginning, his part, there is plenty of if you sign up, then you can have a free demo for this as well. Alternatively, get in touch with us again via your account manager or on that email address that I mentioned, and we can get in touch with Ruckus to get that generated for you. And I think, to be honest, I think that's the last slide, is it, Mr. Klein? It's just now the Q&A. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. So, look, guys, I can't see any additional questions at this moment in time. So hopefully that means we've done a good job of explaining everything. I will just stay on the call, as will Mr. Clive, for the next few minutes until either everyone drops off or just give it those few minutes whilst those questions come through. So, look, either way, thank you very much for your time today, guys. Hopefully that gives you everything you need. And like I said, we'll stay here just for the next few minutes just to see if there's any few questions that come through. Otherwise, thank you again and have a great day.